Yeah.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Ritch Talks number 5. Wow, I'm Mitch.
I'm Rob.
Do you know what, everyone? We've got a good topic for you today. Okay, what do you do if you hate your job? Rob, do you know what? Take it away, my friend, because I feel like this is relatable to you, son.
Yeah, I think I have the most experience in this one, and I have the most experience recently, and probably about 7 years ago now. Quit your job.
Fucking leave.
Just
fucking leave.
But set yourself up a plan. The thing is, you have to have a plan. I probably didn't have the best plan this time around. You were very much involved in my discussions. The last time I quit my job, it was my previous career in IT, I quit it and travelled. And I don't regret that. So if you have the ambition to travel and you don't like your job and you're young and you don't have any responsibilities, anyone that relies on you, and you have some money to do that, go ahead and do it. You're going to get the best experiences in life, travelling, seeing what other cultures are like, seeing how other people live their lives, and how you could probably choose to live your life. Coming away from that, this time round, I was doing a job I wasn't fulfilled in, but was in the industry that I'd chosen to be in.
So there's a bit of an oxymoron there. Like it's a bit of like a hard, probably internal conversation you have to have, because it's like you're in this, you wish for this, but it's not something you wish for within that industry, so it must be quite tough for you.
Yeah, and some could say that I was still in a place of privilege, which absolutely, that was never a point of discussion in my mind. So taking the privilege out of it, very much privileged to be in that job and being in a full-time position, earning more than what most people earn nowadays. I think the average earnings is between sort of 18,000 and 6,000 of what most people in the UK are earning. Anything above that, you're in a minority. So it wasn't to do with money, and money's never been my motivation for doing a job. It has become a motivation, as you know, because it's a tool for me to live the way I want to live. However, this time round, it was lack of fulfillment and lack of destination and how I want to live my life. I chose to do that job. Well, actually, I didn't choose to do that job. I got pushed into that job in a way that I wanted to gain the experience. So I put myself forward to gain the experience and realised that it wasn't for me. It became, as I was general manager of a gym where me and Mitchell met, and my passion was teaching people personal training, coaching, group classes. So when you're coming away from that, still in the fitness industry, I was still surrounded by the people I wanted to be surrounded by because they're like-minded, but at the same time, I was becoming a desk jockey and going back to the IT job that I despised. That's why it entered my mind that I needed to get out of that situation. And I've always had this dream of going self-employed and living by my own terms, and if that meant working more but working for myself, so be it. Didn't really matter. But it's not that straight road that you think that is going to be, or you know it's not going to be that straight road, but you still think it's going to go a whole lot smoother when you're on that path. So what I'm trying to say is, have a good backup plan, have some security. I had some security. I put some money aside, which anyone should do no matter what. So not even if you're planning to leave your job or you don't like your job, just have some security for that rainy day. You never know what's to come. Someone might hand you a piece of paper, say, sorry, we're going to have to make you redundant. What are you going to do? And if you haven't got a backup plan, if you haven't got that money aside, what do you do?
It's very true. It's like, yeah, with the current state of the economy, it is more paycheck to paycheck for most people. So putting money aside is some very, very good advice. And to be honest, I saw Rob, like, literally, he was ending up as the person you didn't want to be. Like, it was deteriorating week on week on week. You wasn't as happy and fulfilled as you were doing the role that even like I was doing at the same gym, because you were more people, or you were more surrounded by people when you were doing just the general PT role. So it was sad to see, because it's like they lost an asset in you, because it's like they read the room a little bit wrong.
That light came back. If you remember my last month,
yeah,
or especially the last 2 weeks, where
fuck it.
Yeah, I knew that my position had been filled, and the handover was sort of non-existent anymore, and it entered my mind, fuck it. I still wanted to do things the right way because I do have integrity. I've always said it, leave on good terms. So it was never to sabotage anything. I'm just not that sort of person. But at the same time, I wanted to finish that job how I wanted to finish it, and it was no longer as a general manager. And even though every member still saw me as the manager, they still saw me as the guy. Rob, what's going on with this? Or Rob, can you help with this? Whatever. Sorry, I'm just not the manager anymore. If it's personal training, if you want to go up to the gym and we'll hit a session, if you want to come to the class, absolutely. And that I could see that spark coming back again for me in that role. Yeah. And that's why I aspire to do that position, and I will stop at nothing until I get what I want up here.
And do you know what, it touches on a point, because it's like where you were so unfulfilled. It's like, could you imagine there are actually people who do that on like a daily basis all the time, unfulfilled. It speaks to the importance of actually doing something that you don't hate. Like, do you know what I mean? Not even like that you love, just you can't hate your job, because if you hate your job, your whole life is negatively affected. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's your whole being.
Your whole being. It's like, because you're like, you have to wake up at this time to go do something you don't like, to come home, to dread it, to doing it the next day, and then it's just...
That affects more than just yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
That affects even just body language and posture, because as soon as you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this job, instantly you wear that upon your whole physical self. But then that shows if you're living with someone, they're going to be like, oh fuck, here he comes, and that's
this miserable kid.
Yeah, and I realised that about myself. That's why I had to look in the mirror and I had to go, I need to get out of this. I need to, because I already see the signs, and I think that's what it became. I've already been in that position before, so you start recognising the signs earlier on, and I recognised the signs in myself that I needed to make a change, and if I didn't make a change, it leads to self-destruction in one way or another. And self-destruction doesn't necessarily mean that other people are going to really realise. It could just be, you're just not happy and you're just living a lesser quality of life. That could be it. Or you do blow up, and it leads to a lot worse. And it can only lead to a lot worse if you carry on at that trajectory of doing something you don't like. It doesn't have to be a passion. I'm very passionate about fitness, so that's the reason why I went into that role. And what I do try and tell people to do follow your passion. But a lot of people, I had this discussion with people, a lot of people don't know what they're passionate about. They really don't. So my advice would be to choose something that you just maybe enjoy doing, like you touched upon. And then you start to realise what you're passionate about. And then that becomes your ikigai. Ross Edgley, love Ross Edgley. I listened to a podcast recently, and your ikigai, I think I've pronounced that right, is your purpose. And it's really what would you do if the money wasn't an object and you just had to do something every day? That is your purpose. And when people lack purpose, they just lack the ability to live. And I really feel that the purpose could be that you just getting up, and for my mum, for example, she's retired. I see her purpose as helping my sister with my nephews, so my mum's grandchildren. She gets up every day and she goes and helps out, because my sister works a full-time job, and just helps out with the family. And that's my mum's purpose, to still be a mum, but in a grandmother stance, so to be a grandmother. And for me, I don't have purposes in I'm responsible for someone or something. I have a purpose to fulfill a need and desire internally. So everyone's purpose can be different. And yeah, what do you think about that? Would you say you have a purpose? Do you want to expand?
I think purpose is ever changing. You'd probably agree. Like, purpose is like, it's not. Your purpose as a 20-year-old is not going to be your purpose as a 35-year-old, and it's just always going to be fluctuation in that. But I think if you don't follow your purpose, it does lead to where you were going. Exactly, it leads to that either combustible element where you absolutely throw the kitchen sink at your job and say, fuck this, I'm done. I'm absolutely sick to the back teeth of it, or you become depressed. And to be honest, that's why following your purpose is such good advice to anyone. Like, you can listen to that as an 18-year-old, or you can listen to that as a 52-year-old, and you could listen to that advice and take it on board and realise internally, what are you meant to do? Like, you're sitting there at night thinking, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. But if you're waking up and doing the exact opposite, like, you aren't fulfilling your purpose, you are going to live a sad life, and you probably aren't going to enjoy it very much. Do you know what I mean? You want to wake up with a bit of, you want to wake up with like happiness. Haven't you woke up recently and just gone,
living life the way you want to live it? But your purpose does change, and that's a good point, and I'll expand on that. I know quite a few people that went to university, studied, for example, veterinary degree or whatever. I shouldn't have chosen that word because I can't even pronounce it. Let's choose marketing. It's more.
Let's choose fucking marketing.
You can tell I work in sport. But so they studied marketing. Let's cut that other bit out. So they studied marketing, and then they've gone into something completely different. They've gone into something like plumbing, because maybe they've just found the passion for changing pipes or whatever it is. But the point is that they've studied for something for 3-4 years in depth because of it, and then decided to go into something completely different. That is not wrong. And if you're in that position where you've led your life in a set way, and you've built it up to a set point, and then you've hit 23 and you've gone, actually, I don't want to do this. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. But you just have to commit to what you do want to do, and it might change. For me, fitness is very general. You know, I love fitness, and you get into that. But now you start aiming towards your set niche. I have set niches that I want to aim towards. For me, endurance sports, triathlon. That's kind of the niche I kind of want to go down. But it's also I want to go into teaching other people about fitness, who want to get into the industry, and not teaching clients as much, not teaching people coming into a gym. I still have that passion, but what I feel I want to have more of is commitment from people. And who better than people who are destined, or not destined, passionate, have an interest about going into an industry. Your motivation's up here to succeed. So if I can help mould, if I can help direct, if I can help all of the above, get into the industry and have an impact on how they are going forwards, that for me at the moment is my purpose. And I will do everything I can to get there, but it's not a straight line. I'm years off of that. Maybe not. I could be 6 months, but I put it in my mind. I'm years off where I want to be up here, because you have a set standard. You have a visionary of yourself of where you want to be and who you want to be. And if you're not there, you can either roll over and go, oh, fuck it, I can't do it. Or you go, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it. Because if you have that belief and you have that view, you're going to get there, because you're going to ask the right questions. You're going to make the right fuck-ups that you need to, the right failures, because as soon as you hit that failure, you're going to go, well, that didn't work, let me try again. Or that didn't work, let me try something else. Whereas if you suddenly go, I can't do it, I'll go back to doing what I already know, which is a job that I don't like, you've already lost. And you're not going to be fulfilled if that's what you're after. For men, I think it's more fulfillment. Especially for men. So this is, we can definitely have that conversation sitting here. I can't really talk about it from a female perspective, just because we don't understand females from a mindset perspective. For men, we have open discussions about what we want, and it all relates. It all resonates with each other. Every man that I speak to that is sort of in the same situation, that has the same sort of mindset to us, we all have the same thought process of what we desire going forward, and it is the sense of fulfillment and security for others, our family. We're the protectors. That is our DNA, what we are bred for. The mothers, they are mothers. The father is the protector. He's he's the one that leads in a set way, and you have to push forward. And I think I've lost my point on that one. Lost my train of thought.
I think you were going down a good a good rabbit hole there, because it's again, men have here, women have here. The way we discuss, internalize, the way we communicate is so vastly different. It's probably a good point to touch on, because I'm not being funny. It's neither of the opposite sex understands any, like when a girl's on their period.
Yeah, yes.
Like,
yes.
get out the fucking way.
Or get in the way, but get in the way within the way that you're supposed to, and the way you're supposed to. There's a communication. It's different styles.
Yes.
We have different styles of communicating. I can openly just tell you straight and be direct and straight to the point. Some women love that. So I'm generalising, and forgive me if that offends you. But
fuck you if it does.
But the way you have to communicate is different how you communicate to men. And that's and it is individual. Speak to your partner, speak to whoever it is that you're having that barrier with. It could be a sister in a household if you're living with that person, and a cousin, whoever it is, doesn't really matter. If it's normally a male to female, and there is a set communication that you have to have with that person to have an understanding of how to work with that person whilst they're on a period. And because it is a different time in their life, short time, a week, it can, say a week, it can last a little bit longer, it can last a little bit less. But in those times, hormonal changes affect the way that person acts and reacts. So it's not even just their actions, it's the way they react to set things around them. It could just be one small trigger. It could be one small thought process that stems a whole chain of reactions. And you have to know how to act, how to react, and it's just so different to what we're used to and how we think about our existence, about how we live our life, because we will never understand.
So but again, we will never understand, but we have to attempt to make the most of the situation and understand to the best of our abilities. Because again, we are not going to know how a woman's life is affected by a period, simply because we're not a woman. But what we can work on is the ability to understand their behavioural patterns when on said period. And I think it's something that us men need to get slightly better at. Because and asking if they're on their period, first-hand experience, it's not one of them. Okay? It's not one of them. You do not want to be asking a girl, or if you think, even suspect that they're on their period, if you walk up to them like, you're on your period, love. Honestly, bang, you might get slapped around the jaw. Do you know what I mean? It's not fucking worth it sometimes. Like, oh my God. But it relates back to the point of working, because again, on a day-to-day basis, again, we internalise with people that we know, we understand, we speak to. But it's something you need to talk with people about. If you aren't in a situation at work that you're not having with, you need to be able to speak with people, your internal circle, about what's going on. And you have to have an understanding of each other, whether it's your wife, whether it's your kids, probably not kids, or your mum or your dad, or someone you need to speak to, because you're going to want to take an opinion on that, because you know what I mean? Because it could just be a momentary blip. It could just be 2-3 weeks where you're like,
it
fuck
can.
my life shit.
And let me touch on that, because I have experience with that.
Yeah.
And so yes, that is absolutely right, valid. Yeah. But you should also know when you wholeheartedly believe within yourself that you are right and everyone else is wrong, because there will be times where to your core you've been thinking about it, and you might have brought it to the surface, so I can have a conversation with Mitchell and he might be like, oh, I've never heard you speak about that, but you could be thinking about something for 6 months, a year, and you could have that same thought. If it doesn't go away and it's within your core and you wholeheartedly, and everyone else is saying no, but you're wanting to hear that yes, you don't need to hear that yes. If it's a yes for you, do it.
But you have to understand yourself before this comes, and this is why it's important to know yourself. It's important, and with more time in life, you will know yourself better, you'll understand yourself, you'll understand your behavioural patterns. But for you to be able to give yourself a wholehearted yes, you have to know yourself. And a lot of people don't have that in nowadays society, so that second opinion is quite valid. It's quite like, so for most people who don't know who they are, especially speaking to people who are like under 30 at this point, they're not going to be able to formulate much of an educated opinion without some form of human validation, which is probably a sad commentary on the way the society's going at the minute. But again, to be honest, you have to know yourself before you give that.
You always have doubts, and
Yes.
I've definitely, and I'll wholeheartedly be honest about this, I've had doubts about myself recently, and then you have to find a method that works for you. I love David Goggins because I love his approach to what he does and how he does things. He looks at his inner self, his inner bitch. I resonate with that, and if I'm not doing the things I need to do, that's the conversation I'm going to have with myself. That is one thing that I know works for me. It's self-talk, and it doesn't have to be positive self-talk. It can be negative. I very much, within probably the last month, it's probably at the start of the last month, so a month ago, I had to give myself a talk and go, fucking sort yourself out. And it wasn't a positive one, it was a discussion that you are not doing the things you need to be doing and all the things that you want to be doing. And you really need to write things down. Well, you don't have to, but for me it works, and this is just advice. This is just something that we can share with you that might work for you, it might not. So I have started writing things down. If it's a thought process, I'll write it down. It doesn't have to be everything, and not every thought process, but what I mean is a strong thought process. If you're thinking, I want to change my job, write it down. I want to change my job to ... And that could be just the start of the thought process. If it still lingers there, 4 weeks later, I want to change my job to, and it's exactly the same as what the month previous was, then it's something to go on and something to explore further. Not to act upon, but something to explore. You start exploring the options of, okay, well, how do I get to that point? Start writing that down. And it then becomes, okay, I've got my plan of action now. Anyone that's setting up a business really has to have a business plan. And the business plan can change. So if the business plan, if you just have it in your mind and you don't have it written down, it can change the next time you think about it. But if it's written down, you can expand upon it, you can change points, but the structure of your plan stays the same. So if you're looking to change your job and you don't know where to start, write down what you think you might want to do, or have a mind map. So Mitchell, I want to be a plumber, carpenter, electrician, PT, accountant, anything on there that you think might appeal to you, might have an interest, and then touch upon it in time, because you've taken that thought process and you've put it pen to paper. That's deeply rooted now. That can go into the unconscious. The unconscious will then start to figure out what you really want or how to get there, or just validate the point itself. Then you can start asking friends and family, what do you think if I was to do this? What do you think?
Do you not think though, if you've internalised it to that degree, I don't think I think for you to have this conversation internally, you probably know yourself to a point where asking your friends and family isn't something that's actually important. When I was made the previous point, it was more to somebody who doesn't know himself that much to get like more of a validated opinion.
Yeah, but I still think it has its benefit by doing that, because it's, even if they don't give you the answer that you necessarily want, it may be that they give you an option that you didn't even think of. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily to validate your point, mm-hmm. or provide a level of agreement. It might be just to explore something that you haven't even thought about. And it might be best then not to explore it with a friend or family member. Touching or reaching out to someone that is a neutral stance to you, that doesn't really know you on a personal level, but knows you in a professional level. I've done that many times with members at Reynolds Gym. And I just spoke to them and said, well, what do you think about this? It wasn't something personal to me or a massive decision or whatever it is. It could just be a generic point where I wanted to get someone's stance that didn't know my personal aspects or maybe my opinions towards something, but for them to give theirs because I don't know their opinion. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, has expanded my thought process, because there are things that you're just not going to think of. Anyone that's in your circle knows you, mm-hmm. and generally has a similar thought process, even if you're different to them, and hobbies, interests, whatever, they kind of think the same, not outside the box in some way. You need to maybe just choose someone that just lives a polar opposite life. Taking someone like
third opinion, yeah, just completely.
Brian,
we're quite lucky because we worked in a place where a third opinion was always like a third party opinion was always available.
Yeah,
like we were quite fortunate in the sense that if we could internalise something and we wanted advice on said topic, we didn't have to go to like our immediate circle because we every single day saw hundreds of different people. It's like if you're going to be close with one of them. What do you think of that?
Okay, but then so an option for someone then, if we're giving someone an actionable option, would be Reddit, forums.
Yeah. No, I'd say that there's better YouTube content than Reddit and forums.
No. Like, what I mean is, but you asking a question. So,
okay,
I'm asking this question to people. Yes, going on to finding information, content that, explore YouTube, explore your options. And go out there and research what you want to do, because it might be that you have this ideology that being a carpenter is great, and it's I'm going to be in this workshop, and it might be completely different. Yeah. But what the point I was making is, because we had this library of people where we could go and see and just ask, and I could bounce from one person, and 2 minutes later I'm across the other side of the gym speaking to someone completely different on the same topic, getting a completely different point of view. Well, that's what you're going to get on forums, because people don't owe you shit.
Yeah.
Especially the keyboard warriors. They're the people that you want. They're the people that you want to give you that hard truth that you might not want to hear, or just some delusional answer that you might go, wow, actually, yeah. You can take anything or
leave delusion, ladies and gentlemen, works in your young 20s.
Yeah, we've had that topic, so go back and watch another
episode. It's also. If someone finds themselves, they're going to know what they want to do a bit more. Like the likelihood, it preaches the importance of understanding who you are as a person, because the likelihood of you knowing yourself and ending up in a position which makes you hate your job is so slim, I think, because you know what you want to do with your life, you know your purpose, and you know what you're expecting. If you understand who you are to your fabric, the likelihood is your job follows suit, I think anyway. Because it's like you found who you are quite early on in life. You found who you are and you knew you wanted to be in fitness. Yeah, you didn't end up where you wanted to be in fitness, but at the same time, you ended up like you're in the right field, you're in the right area, just maybe like at the wrong side of the park. Do you know what I mean? Like it's okay.
You're going to be a whole lot happier going after what you want than not going after it at all. Yeah. So you might not be the ultimate happiness, because no one knows what level of happiness when you get to any point in your life. No one knows how happy you're going to be. All you're trying to be is a little bit happier than you were before, fulfilled, and everything that comes with going after what you want. Because at the end of the day, we all want set things.
Yeah.
And
we're all different in that.
Yeah,
it's
but
like we can't tell you your goals.
We have desires.
We all have desires.
And if you don't go after that, if you don't see that it is possible to get what you want, then you're going to deteriorate, and you're going to go through a whole lot of internal battles, and that in itself can be a win, because if you get past those internal battles and you know you've been at that point, well, the highest highs were only the highest highs because you've had the lowest of lows. So someone that have lived their life not really going from a high to a low doesn't really know what the highest of highest feels like. So there are good things that come from bad situations.
Oh yeah.
And
lessons are a very important thing. It's
that time where if you're really unhappy with your job, you need to explore that option earlier than later, because you're probably already experiencing a low, but the low can always get lower. There's no level to how low it can get. It will only get lower, and that is just how much you can absorb, how much you can take. But the highest of highs will come when you're going after something that you really feel is your purpose.
You found a pursuit. When you found your purpose, when you're on the pursuit, it is a beautiful feeling. It's like, you're like, when you, even if your purpose changes, as we discussed earlier, But if your purpose changes, but whilst you're pursuing something that you believe is your purpose at that time, it's a fantastic feeling. And I don't think many feelings in life can beat it, because you know you're pursuing something greater than your very self, and that is why it's truly wonderful. So again, have that difficult conversation with yourself. Look in the mirror, ask yourself, what do I actually want from life? But that's the question you have to ask. You can't be asked that question, you can't answer that question. I mean, someone else can't answer that question for you. You have to answer it, no one else. So yeah, pretty much, it's a question that has to be it has to be answered by you.
Yeah, I think the actionable takeaway from this, then we can round this conversation up. The actionable takeaway would be to ask yourself: Are you happy and are you fulfilled in your current role? If it's a yes, carry on. Great, good for you. And carry on that trajectory and keep trying to evolve your purpose. If you're not, and this is the reason why you're watching this, if you're not happy, we've been there before and you still go through it, but you have to then go away, look in the mirror and really ask yourself, internalize that thought process, or write it down. Go away and talk to the people close to you, talk to your friends, talk to someone neutral. It could be a therapist, could be just anyone that will give you an honest answer. Your friends and family will always try and mollycoddle you and give you the best answer. So they're not always the best people. They love you at the end of the day, but they might not give you the hard truths.
Find a third party. So
find a third party, but also have that validation or have that conversation with family, because at the end of the day, the very least they will do is support you.
Yeah.
And
you'd hope anyway.
Yeah, you'd hope. Yeah, and that's essentially really going to help you at times of where you do question your motive, you do question what you're doing, where you're going. You might not know how to do it. I certainly don't. I certainly don't know how to get to where I want to be with what's up in my mind as my end goal. But all I know is I'm taking that step in the right direction. I'm doing the things. I'm studying a couple of courses right now, so I'm being re-educating myself. So that's CPD, continuous personal development. I think everyone needs to have, whatever field you're in. If you're not continuously progressing in your field, you're staying in the same point. Life's moving forward. Life moves rapid. There's times where I go, there's not enough hours in the day. So look at yourself and know that you are moving forward in the right direction. That's what you need to do. And I think that's...
And stay hard, motherfuckers.
Yeah, go and listen to some David Goggins. Go and put your running trainers on and hit the tarmac. Have a good session in the gym, weights.
Do you know what? Thanks, everyone. That's been a great episode, I believe. Anyway,
yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching.
Good. If you do like the podcast, please give it a subscribe. It will help us out. Give it a like. Give it a comment. We all want it to be shared, the SEO to boost up. And yeah, we've on to the next one. Thank you very much. It's been Ritch Talks.